Good afternoon. Welcome to XOTIC PC's video review of the new Sager NP6370. This is built on the Clevo W370ET, and this is the newest laptop from Sager. We're pretty excited to bring you this review today. We're going to be going over a bunch of different things. We'll be running over the specs, the screen. It is a 17.3-inch glossy screen. We'll be breaking that down for you. The exterior finish, which is really nice. The keyboard and point device, going over all of the ports around the laptop. The system BIOS, we'll be doing some 3D Mark Vantage stock and overclock scores of this system. We'll be showing you some temps and some thermal images so you can see the heat and the heat output on this 6370. We'll then show you the inside or the underside, the internal components within there, and then we'll be doing a little price comparison as well on this system, because Sagers are known for being really price effective, if you will. They have really good price points. They're very cost effective, and we'll be showing you a quick little price comparison so you can see in fact that Sager systems do offer great savings. So we thank you for joining us today on this video review, and we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is go over the specs of this 6370. This is a 17.3-inch Full HD glossy screen. You can, however, opt for a matte screen if you prefer, and right after we go through these specs with you, we'll discuss the screen next, so we'll get into that a little bit more here. The stock CPU on this is an i5-3210 mobile. That's a third generation processor. However, in this review model, we did upgrade to the i7-3610 quad mobile Ivy Bridge processor. And at the end of the video, when we do our price comparison analysis, the system that we're going to be comparing it to does come with an i7-3610. So that's one reason why we upgraded. Another reason, it's only a $70 upgrade for that i7 from the i5. So it's a very cheap upgrade, and actually what we found in the past about 2 months of selling this system is that most people do upgrade to that i7. Graphics card in here is a nVIDIA GTX 660M. It's 2 GB of video RAM, GDDR5, and it does have Optimus in it, so you're going to see some battery savings on this system, which is great. For RAM, stock RAM is 8 GB, 1600 MHz RAM. On this system, however, we did upgrade to 12 GB, and again, that is more for the price comparison at the end of the video. And again, we'll get into that at the end. For hard drives, there is 2 hard drive bays in here, which is great. Stock, all Sagers come stock with 500 GB, 7200 RPM hard drives. On this test model though, however, we did put in a Seagate 500 GB hybrid drive just to show you some things with that hard drive. Now for optical drive, the optical drive, we'll get into this more later as well. It's located on the left side. This is just a standard 8x DVD-CD combo reader-writer. It's basically the stock optical drive that Sager puts in all their systems. But again, you can upgrade that optical drive if you want, or put in an optical bay caddy and put another another hard drive in there if you want, and then you could have up to 3 hard drives. So that's the basic specs rundown of this 6370, and the next thing we'll get into is the screen. Okay, the next thing we're going to go over with you here is the screen. Now what we're doing in the background is just running some 3D Mark Vantage graphics runs, so you can sort of see the graphics on here. Now the screen on here is a 17.3-inch Full HD glossy screen. However, if you want, you can upgrade to a matte screen, and right now that upgrade is only $30. And actually what we're finding is a lot of people do opt for the matte screen because these glossy screens are highly reflective. So one thing to keep in mind is where you're primarily going to be using your laptop, the background lighting, the environment that you're in. If you're in a college classroom, you usually tend to have a lot of overhead lighting, so that's one thing to take into account, is the environment that you're going to be using your laptop in, and then what screen is ideal for you. For me personally, I like matte screens just because these glossy screens are reflective. However, Sager has been really good about what screens they do select for their stock screens. So again, this is a 17.3-inch Full HD glossy screen. The wash on it isn't too bad. I mean, optimally, your best viewing angle is going to be directly 90 degrees on center. However, when you start to get to 60 degrees maybe in there, getting into 70 degrees off center, you are seeing a significant amount of wash. Swinging over this way again, hitting that 60 to 70 degree point, you are seeing a fair amount of wash. And then again, you can see how reflective the screen is. And then we'll get, there should be another test coming up here. Alright, there it is. Coming down from top to bottom, it's not washing out too bad. Now again, you probably aren't using your laptop in this manner at this type of angle. Going from, I guess, the back, it's not washing out terribly in my opinion. Again, this is the farthest the screen will go back as well. The wash from top to bottom isn't too bad. Again, the wash from a side-to-side perspective is a little bit more than I would expect to see. However, you can opt for a matte screen, or we do have some higher color gamut screens as well. I believe there's a 90% glossy upgrade on this model right now as well. So if you don't like the glossy screen, there are some other options for you. Okay, briefly, we'll just go over the exterior finish of the 6370. It does have the Sager branding on it. You can, for no additional charge, have the branding removed. And of course, they'll remove that Sager emblem, and then there's some other emblems around the keyboard area here. These THX, nVIDIA stickers, and then over there on the right side, you do have an Intel sticker. If you opted for no branding, those would not come on the system, and that's something that people prefer. The exterior finish is really nice. It is a brushed aluminum finish. This is something that we're not seeing on too many Sagers. We do see a similar black brushed aluminum finish on the 9170. This is the first time I've looked at this system, and I really like the exterior finish of it. Hopefully you can pick it up there. And some of the little reflection. It's sort of like a champagne silver brushed aluminum finish. And then the area around the keyboard and point device, that's similar in color, but it is not a brushed aluminum finish. However, in my opinion, it's a great looking laptop. If you didn't like the look of this laptop and you wanted to do something a little bit more personal, we could put a skin on the outside of this for you. We have some other wrapping options as well, such as like a carbon fiber wrap or a stealth flat black as well, just to give you some, some more personalization options. So that's the exterior finish. One thing to take note: Sager has never been too, I guess, quote unquote, flashy with their exterior finishes, and that's really good when it comes to price. You aren't going to overpay for a laptop because you're not paying for exotic finishes and flashy LED lights and all those different things. So hopefully that gives you just a little bit of perspective of the exterior finish on this 6370. Okay, next we'll talk about the keyboard and the point device. Now the keyboard on this is a nice keyboard. It does have a number pad on the right side there. That's very common with 17.3-inch laptops. The keyboard itself, there's virtually no flex whatsoever. I'm literally putting almost all my weight into this. Nice keyboard, nothing too fancy. It's not a backlit keyboard, unfortunately, like you're seeing on the higher end Sager 9000 series, and unfortunately you cannot upgrade the keyboard right now. That's a modification that we might look into. However, I'm guessing it's something that's probably not possible, especially depending on the connections on the motherboard and different things like that. The point device is okay. It's not my favorite. One thing I do like is there isn't the fingerprint reader in the middle that you do see on some Sager laptops. That's something I personally don't utilize, is a fingerprint reader, so I like the fact that it isn't in the middle there. If you don't use an external mouse when gaming and you actually use this mouse, it's nice to not have that fingerprint reader in the way. The touchpad itself is the same finish as the palm rest area, and it's not too bad. I prefer textured point devices. That way there's no sort of resistance when you're sliding across. The clickers themselves are decent. They're very freed up. It's independent clickers, it's not a rocker style mouse area. They're okay. To me, they're nothing too fancy. They seem to work just fine. One thing I will note, right up here, hopefully you can see that little dot right there, that's actually your microphone. And one thing that we're seeing from Clevo, and that's an actual Clevo modification, that's not a Sager specific modification, is that they're putting the microphone down here versus up above where the webcam is, and this does come with a 2.0 megapixel webcam. To me, having a microphone right there seems very odd. I'm not sure if the theory is that when you're typing, you're looking down at the keys and therefore it's going to pick up more of your voice. But we've had some people actually complain about the microphone being here. And, you know, I guess it depends on who you are, what your profession is, if you really utilize a microphone like that. But to me, it's just really odd that it's here. In fact, I don't think I've seen it on any other systems except for Sager Clevo systems where they put the microphone there. So that's my little spiel about that. You know, odd place for a microphone. Overall, keyboard is okay. Nothing to brag about too much. It works just fine. The key response is great. There's no flex to it. The point device, the clickers are really nice. Very freed up. There's no fingerprint in the reader. I guess it depends on who you are, if that's a major, you know, feature that you like or not. I personally don't. The point device, the only thing I would request differently is that it was a textured, but again, that's just a personal thing. So hopefully that gives you a little bit idea into the keyboard. Okay, now we will go over the ports on this Sager NP6370. This is the left side here. You do have a Kensington lock jack. You do have a legacy USB 2.0, SPDIF out, or some people say SPDIF. That seems really weird to me, but SPDIF. You do have a microphone and a headphone. Your optical drive is located here on the left side, which for me, since I'm a right-handed person and I use an external mouse, I like the fact that the optical drive is on the left side. But then again, if you're a lefty, this might displease you, I guess. But optical drive is on the left side. Swinging around to the front, you do have a standard set of LED indicator lights, more towards the left side. This is going to be power. Then we do have a battery, so if battery gets low, this is going to kick on. Then we have a number lock, which we do have on right now. Then a caps lock and a scroll lock, so just a standard set. There is no Wi-Fi indicator lights in this area. However, above on the keyboard, you'll see some other LED indicator lights, and we'll show you those here in just a second. Swinging around to the right side, this down here, hopefully you can see this a little bit, that is the edge of the battery. When I first looked at the system, I thought, hey, maybe that's the optical bay, but no, in fact the optical bay is on the left side. You do have a 9-in-1 card reader. Sager's been putting 9-in-1 card readers on all their systems, so it's really great, especially if you're into the photography or videography field, that they're giving you that flexibility of a 9-in-1 card reader. And then you do have 3 USB 3.0 ports, and this last one here is also a eSATA combo. You do have HDMI. This is a 1.4 HDMI out, and then you do just have a standard RJ45 Ethernet port. On the back side, there's not too many ports. You do have a 15-pin VGA port here. This to me was a little bit surprising. Sager's been putting DVI ports on their systems for quite a few years now, and now we're starting to see the introduction of some VGA ports on a few of their systems. So this does have a 15-pin VGA port if you want to run to an external monitor or something like that. You do have your DC power input here on the back, and then we just have right of center here, this is the only single exhaust fan. To me, again, I was sort of surprised to only see one exhaust fan on this system, and here later in the review we'll actually show you some thermal temps and some temperatures of this system so we can see actually how effective that external vent is. So that's just the port package on this 6370. Okay, next we just want to show you there are some other buttons and indicator lights up around the keyboard area. Starting up here, you do have your power button. to obviously turn on your laptop. You do have a webcam button, and as we mentioned, this does have a 2.0 megapixel webcam, so you can just click that to hit that on. We do have a mute button here. That's something new, I guess. You could also hit, I believe it is function F3 to mute. So I don't know why they have, you know, this operation or this operation basically side by side. But you do have a mute button there, and then you do have a Wi-Fi button, so you can activate or deactivate your Wi-Fi simply by clicking that. Up at the top, this is going to be your speaker area. You do have two speakers located left and right. They are Onkyo speakers. It's something new that we're seeing Sager be involved with Onkyo this year. You'll see them on all their higher end Sager NP9000 series like the 9130, 9150, 9170. So it's nice that they're taking a step in the right direction and trying to improve the sound quality on their Sager systems. And then this does also have HTX True Studio Pro on there as well. Swinging over on the right side here, hopefully you can see this, you do have a VGA button. You do have a set of 4 indicator lights here, a UMA, Optimus, and then this is going to be your hard drive activity, and then our Wi-Fi. You can see our Wi-Fi is on right now. We just went ahead and clicked it off on those that button on the left side, and then we'll click it back on, and you can see that indicator light there as well. So that's where a couple of the other LED indicator lights are that weren't included on the set of 5 on the front of the system. So, okay, next we'll show you the system BIOS here. Now we show the system BIOS in every laptop review. However, the system BIOS pretty much between every system isn't, I guess, vary that much. There's not very much that you can do in system BIOS. Here in the main menu, you can adjust the system date and time. Nothing really huge. I don't personally ever mess with it. You can see our SATA ports. We do have that 500 gigabyte Seagate hybrid drive in here right now. That isn't stock. That's an upgrade that we have on this system. We do have a DVD CD combo drive in here right now. That again you can upgrade to a DVD burner, a DVD player, or excuse me, Blu-ray burner, Blu-ray player, or you can get an optical drive bay caddy and put a third drive in there if you wanted to instead. You can see total memory here. We do have 12 gigabytes DDR3. That's 1600 megahertz. Again, stock, like we mentioned in this beginning of this video review, that only comes with 8 gigabytes, 1600 megahertz. Switching over screens here, advanced. In SATA mode, you can, this is RAID capable. You can see RAID mode there. Right now we don't have that set up just because we only have the one hard drive in there. The boot logo, you can change that if you don't want the Sager boot logo to pop up. And then of course on every Sager system they have these power on boot beeps and battery low alarm beeps, so your system will basically make a sound when your system turns on or if your battery's running low. Security, every system BIOS you can set a supervisor password. Boot priorities, you can change those around a little bit if you want to as well. And then of course just save and exit. So again, in any laptop system BIOS there's not a ton you can do. One thing I will mention again, just really quick, is that this system is RAID capable. There is a RAID mode in there, so that's really nice as well with those dual drives. Okay, next thing we're going to go over with you, as you can see here on your screen, is 3D Mark Vantage scores. Now again, the GPU in this is that nVIDIA GeForce GTX 660M with 2 gigabytes of video RAM, and for the CPU we have the upgraded i7-3610 Quad Mobile 3rd generation Ivy Bridge processor in there. For a stock 3D Mark Vantage score, you can see we got a score of just under 12,000 points, which is a great score. Looking back at, like, say the 570s, 580s of last year, we weren't even able to break 10,000 points on 3D Mark Vantage. So now with this new generation of graphics cards that have came out this year, we're seeing much higher scores in 3D Mark Vantage, or whichever benchmarking program you prefer. There's also 3D Mark 11 out there that is also very preferred program when it comes to running these benchmark scores. Next thing we'll show you here is an overclock score. For overclock, we got another almost 1,000 points, which is a fairly safe overclock score. We'll zoom in over here on the GPU temp so you can see that a little bit, hopefully. GPU temp was hovering maxed right around 70 degrees Celsius. Hopefully you can see that up here, 70 degrees Celsius. That's a fairly safe temperature. Pretty much anything that starts to get into the say 80, 85, 90 degree area, then you're getting too warm when it comes to GPU temps. So this, for an overclock score, we got an extra 1,000 points almost. Again, that's a fairly safe overclock score. We're using MSI Afterburner. This is just the 221 version. It's a little bit older version. There's now a 222 and a 223. The 223 has been out for about a month. We just use this one because it's what we had right here with us with this system. So overall scores, great scores. Comparing them to comparable GPUs of last year, these new nVIDIA graphics cards are just blowing those old graphics cards away. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of perspective into the benchmark scores that you can expect with this 660M from nVIDIA. And one thing to keep in mind too is that this is the upgraded CPU. If you did go with the stock i5 3210 mobile, which is just a dual core processor, you wouldn't expect to see this high of score in 3D Mark Vantage. Okay, the next thing that we're going to be showing you up on your screen here is some thermal temperatures. Now, this is something we started doing this year, showing you actual thermal images of the laptop itself, and we really want to just try to give you a different perspective of the overall temperatures. Now, keep in mind the base room temperature in this room right now is 78 degrees, and so hopefully that'll give you a little bit of gauge on the temperatures that you're seeing. Keyboard and touchpad area aren't getting too hot. If you notice towards the right side of the keyboard there, we're seeing a lot more heat come up from there, and after these thermal images we'll actually take off the back cover and you can see why there's some more heat coming up in that area. Looking at the exhaust vent, there is only one exhaust vent on here. In my opinion, that sort of surprised me. You can see that there's still a lot of heat located on the left side of the back there. In my opinion, I think there should have been a second exhaust vent to pull some more of that heat out. You're not seeing temperatures that are abnormally hot. The heat temperatures in that exhaust vent are 105 degrees in that area, and that is normal. The only thing is that since there's so much heat on that left side, where typically there would be another exhaust vent, especially if you're looking at like the Sager 9000 series, like the 9130s, 9150s, 9170s, there would be another exhaust vent there, and that's something that I would really like to see just to make sure that this system does cool down as much as it can. Looking at the AC adapter, not sure if we mentioned this, it is a 120 watt AC adapter. You're seeing temperatures around 100 degrees. That again is normal. This system's been on for about 4 hours, and we've done some benchmark scores with 3D Mark Vantage. We're doing some overclocking. So these are probably overall the max temperatures that you're going to see on the system, for most users. Okay, now we're going to show you the inside of this Sager NP6370. One thing I will say that you want to do is always remove the battery. This way you don't get a shock when you're in there fidgeting around with anything. Not sure if we mentioned this is an 8-cell. I believe it's 76.96 watt-hour battery. It is an 8-cell. Looking at the inside, you can see here in the left, this is that single fan. It's a fairly good size fan. It's not as large as what you'll find on like the MSI GT70s. Those fans are much larger. Just one fan. You do have CPU and GPUs here with heat sinks. One thing I will say is that the heat sinks are very short. They don't travel very far. So that's going to help cool down your CPU and GPU temps. You do here up at the top have 2 RAM sticks. There is a total of 3 SODIMMs on this system, which we don't really see from too many manufacturers having 3 SODIMMs. I believe some of the older Asus N73s had 3 SODIMMs. It's kind of odd. I don't know why they have done a 4. But the other SODIMM is going to be located opposite here on the underside of the keyboard. Up at the top here, this is your primary hard drive bay, and then your secondary hard drive bay, and we don't have a caddy in here right now, but that would sit right here as well. One thing I will say that's very nice about Sager's is that their warranty is very lenient, if that's the right word I want to use. You can go in and upgrade your CPU, your hard drives, your RAM, obviously. Any pretty much internal upgrades that you want to do, you can do, and it won't void the warranty. These stickers here are just indicating that these areas are hot. A lot of times on some systems, when you pull them open, especially like the MSIs, you'll see little stickers in there that say, you know, if you open this, your warranty will be void, etc. And if those are questions that you have about, you know, what you can and can't upgrade, it's always good to check with us first, just to make sure that the upgrades you're doing don't void your warranty. So the inside, there's not a ton of room in here. Your optical drive is located up here, and if you wanted to, you could completely take off the second housing to get access to your optical drive bay. One thing I will say is I wish that there was a second fan so that the CPU had an independent fan and the GPU had an independent fan. There is not. I'm guessing if there was, it would have been over here, and then you wouldn't have a second hard drive bay. So I guess they opted for one fan in a second hard drive bay versus two fans and then only one hard drive bay. So that's the inside of this Sager NP6370. Okay, so the last quick little thing we wanted to do with you here is just do a little price comparison, because we just wanted to show you how cost effective these Sager systems are. Now again, this is the Sager NP6370, and it comes with the nVIDIA GTX 660M that we've talked about through this whole review. Now we wanted to compare this system to the Asus G75VW-DS71, and the reason we want to do this comparison with you is because that system also comes with a 660M graphics card in it. Now on this Sager NP6370, it just comes stock with an i5, but if we upgrade it to the i7 and then we upgrade the RAM from 8 gigabytes to 12 gigabytes, which is another about $40, and then we upgrade both of the hard drives to match the G75 from Asus, we upgrade those to dual 750 gigabyte 7200 RPM hard drives. You can see now both systems are configured the exact same. Now the Sager then comes in at a price of $11.99, which is extremely affordable for what you get. You get the i7 3rd generation Ivy Bridge, you have dual hard drives, 12 gigabytes of RAM, and then you do have an upgraded CPU to that i7. So it's a great system, $11.99. Now looking at that price point compared to the G75, that right now is at $1,700, I believe it's $1,739, you can see that there's just over a $500 savings with going with this Sager system. So we just wanted to show you a brief price comparison so you could see actually how cost effective the Sager NP6370 is. And you know, at a price point of $11.99 for all those upgrades is great. Even just getting the stock configuration, this system comes in at I believe it's $979 right now. So you can get a 660M graphics card for under $1,000, and we're not seeing any other manufacturer offer a system for that low with that graphics card in it. And thank you for watching XOTIC PC's video review of the Sager NP6370. This again is built on the Clevo W370ET. It's a great system. Like we just mentioned a few minutes ago, it's an extremely affordable computer. It's a great mid-level gaming computer. Now given it doesn't have like a 670, 675, 680 or a 7970M graphics card from AMD, it doesn't have the higher end graphics cards in it, but it does come with a 660, so it's a great intermediate, I guess, if you will, gaming laptop. Again, we would recommend upgrading to that i7-3610, which we had in this review model. That upgrade right now is like $70, so that's a great price for a CPU upgrade from a dual core to a quad core processor. Very affordable system. We like the finish of it, the overall look. Again, if you want to go with something different, we could skin this for you. We have some different exterior finish options for you as well, looking at like carbon fiber or some other different wraps that we can put on there so you can personalize it. Again, overall great system. Thank you for joining us on this review today. Hopefully we covered everything that you were looking for in this video review. However, if there's some questions that you have, you can leave those below in the YouTube comments box, and we usually get on there multiple times a day, 7 days a week. We try to answer those to the best that we can. However, you can contact us directly at our website, which is XOTICPC.com. That's www.XOTICPC.com, and you can configure yours yourself. You can contact us directly on there. We have a toll-free 1-800 number. You can email into sales@exoticpc.com and get in touch with a sales rep right away, and they're there to answer any and all questions that you have. We're always here to help you guys out as much as we can. And that's going to do it for our review today. Thank you again for joining us, and let us know if you have any questions.